your man that was disputing with Max Kellerman on it, saying, no, he's not a Hall of Famer, which he's not a Hall of Famer. Max Kellerman had the cheek to turn around and say, well, I think he is a Hall of Famer because of the commercial aspect of it. Yeah. So now the resumes don't matter. Welcome back to Doc's Cast. We haven't been on in a couple of weeks, but we do come back with a big fight. And any big events coming up, we like to get on. And any chance we get, we'll come on. But sometimes, time permitting, we can't. But there's one thing for sure, we'll come on for the big fights. And that leads us to what's on this weekend, which is Fabio Wardley is fighting Joseph Parker. The winner of that will be mandatory to Usyk. To me personally, it's a great fight. Wardley's undefeated, and as we said on podcast before, that we feel Parker should be next in line for Usyk, and this is going to be final 8. So we'll lead into it with the fight on Saturday night, Mick. A good fight. Do you think? We said it before. Obviously, Parker deserves his shot at Usyk. Do you think Wardley was deserving to get in there and get that?
Well, he was next in line for the. But look, as we talked about off screen, Paul, this is what annoys me about boxing. It really does annoy me, and this is annoying me. Parker was already mandatory, but because boxing is the Wild West, he had no choice but to fight somebody or stay inactive and wait for Usyk. Now look, as you know, and we've said in previous podcasts, the height of respect for Usyk, and he deserves his time off and the whole lot, but he is holding things up the same as all the fighters, Fury, Joshua, all these champions, Wilder. They can all hold things up when it suits them, and that's totally unfair because they were the ones climbing the ladder. Usyk was delighted to get the shot that Joshua gave him. Well, now he should be the same way and give Parker his shot, because Parker already was mandatory, but now he has to go and fight for the mandatory position that he already holds. So it doesn't even make sense. But anyway, back to what you were saying about the fight. I think it's a very good fight. I think Fabio Wardley is dangerous, and he's always going to be dangerous. But I personally think that Parker is a level above him. And I think that Parker's going to stop him.
Do you, yeah?
I do, yeah.
Yeah, I think Parker's going to win the fight, to be honest. I think Wardley done brilliant in his last fight against Prolonged Junior, is it?
No, it was
Wardley.
Yeah.
He was well beaten.
The
fight was over.
Yeah.
And
it was a great punch.
Yeah, no, it was great. No, he has that. That's a good.
But that's heavyweight boxing, Paul. Yeah.
But I think Parker is just going to be a bit too shrewd for him. And stay out. I think Parker on decision, but I think we both agree.
Parker hits a lot harder than Hooney.
Now they're saying that age, that Parker's getting a bit older now, and
well, he's only 33.
Yeah, I know that, but they were saying that, like I was watching it, I was reading up about
it. He's coming into his prime.
That could be an issue with Wardley being the younger man.
No, I think the only thing that could go against Parker is the inactivity. Because he's been out for so long, through no fault of his own, because he's been crying from the rooftops for fights and there was nothing being done for him. So fair play to him. He's a proper fighting man. That's what I love, is men who go out and fight and that's it. Never mind all the BS. Go out and fight. Put your money where your mouth is and go out and have a fight and take on all comers. And that seems to be what Joseph Parker is doing. He's taking on all comers. He took on Wilder, he took on Zhang, he took on Joe Joyce when nobody would fight him. Do you know what I mean? And he took on the boogeyman, Bacoli. Now I know Bacoli came in at very short notice, but he still stepped up. He still stepped up. But look, I don't know. I could be completely wrong, but I think he's just going to be levels above. I really do. I think judging by the last performance that Fabio Wardley had, he was being totally just taken apart. But Justice Hooney didn't have just the power to put him away, but Joseph Parker definitely does have the power to put him away.
You were saying there about Usyk. You were saying about who were saying he's holding up the division or that. He only fought a couple of months ago.
Yeah, but
I've seen Joshua fight twice a year. I've seen fight twice a year. But I don't get that.
No,
I think
Usyk fights once a year, right? That's what he fights. But the fact that
when did he fight? So he fought.
that's all he fights.
So
really,
he fought. So he fought Dubois there. A couple of months ago. What was his previous fight?
It wasn't it near a year before that was Fury. Yeah, he usually goes for once a year. Usyk. That's the way he kind of fights.
Right, okay.
But Paul, the point I'm making is this: is that Usyk deserves his time away to do what he wants and to hold.
Sure, he's better everybody. There's nobody. Nobody can beat him. And Atuma won't beat him now.
But Joseph Parker shouldn't be fighting another mandatory when he was mandatory. That's the rhetoric that's been put out now. Oh, this is for, I hear Frank Warren saying, oh, this is for the mandatory, but sure, he already is mandatory. You know, that's the point.
That's because Dubois is not he's not promoting. Well, I mean, he has Dubois.
All he has them all.
Yeah, I know, but what I'm saying is now he's all about Parker, because Dubois got took out there.
Yeah.
Do you get me?
Yeah.
Now he's able to go.
But it's so unfair on Parker.
Oh, sure, you know that. We've been saying this before. Like. We've been saying this before. Yeah, look, anyway, leading into the fight on Saturday night, yeah, you fancy Parker, I fancy Parker. I fancy Parker on points, you fancy him to win.
Him, yeah.
So, sticking with Usyk, Mick, you've seen the video on ringside with Max Kellerman.
Yeah.
Max Kellerman was questioning, which was I like Max Kellerman. I've watched him for years doing HBO when the best division, the welterweight division was around. I always said that he was the face of it, like doing the presenting and with all the lads at HBO. That's actually drove me mental because I was watching it today and he was trying to question Usyk's resume and saying that, you know, wasn't the be all and all them opponents, and I couldn't get my head around the why.
Yeah, he's just turning into a company man, like what they all do. So he's on a new Ring Magazine podcast, and he just seems to be like a lot of these pundits. He's a company man now. So, like, what I mean by that, Paul, is this: we've seen him in the build-up to the Crawford and Canelo fight, where he actually was stuck up in Dana White's arse. Let's call a spade, talking rubbish. That's the facts. Talking absolute crap until Canelo Alvarez pulled him on. And fair play to him. And he was dead 100% right for pulling him on it. And now he's trying to create controversy, I think, to get eyes on this channel, podcast, Ring Magazine, because what he's talking there is rubbish. Look at Usyk's amateur career. Look at his Olympic career. Look at his career as a professional, unified cruiserweight champion and unified heavyweight champion. And he did beat good men. There's no doubt about it, he bet good men, but he bet what's in front of him for this generation.
Yeah, but he couldn't go on.
But nobody could tell me that he wouldn't give any heavyweight trouble from any generation, because his movement is that good, his mentality is that good, his ring IQ, his punch selection, he's a dog. He's a dog. Once he gets into that ring, never mind that he's 6'3" or that he's a very tough man. He took hard punches from big heavyweights that hit as hard as the next man. So he definitely deserves to be mentioned in the greats. He definitely does.
I don't know where Max Kellerman's going with this, because he said that he was more or less saying that Usyk won't want to fight Atuma, and that because he wants to retire at 41 years of age. Frank Warren doesn't want Atuma fighting Usyk. So let's be clear, he doesn't want him fighting.
100%.
That's shite talk. Like.
Yeah.
He doesn't want him fighting him.
No.
You had I know for a fact, if truth be told, if everyone come into this room and said, right, Usyk and Atuma next, Frank Warren would step in behind the scene with the cameras off because he wouldn't like you knowing it or us knowing it. No, you're not fighting him. Yeah. You know, let's wait another couple of years. Let's get him a bit older. But he wouldn't want him. How can you go from beating Dillian White, who barely walked into the ring, to Usyk?
Yeah. Well, Paul, you're 100% right.
And that's not taken away from Atuma. I'm fed up saying this because, but it's just people who are going mental and are annoying me now, even thinking about it. But do you understand what I'm saying?
No.
And in the same sentence, Mick, in the same podcast, he was on about Anthony Joshua being a Hall of Famer. Now, your man that was disputing with Max Kellerman on it, saying, no, he's not a Hall of Famer, which he's not a Hall of Famer. Max Kellerman had the cheek to turn around and say, well, I think he is a Hall of Famer because of the commercial aspect of it. Yeah. So now the resumes don't matter.
Yeah. So he's talking out both sides of his mouth. And Paul, you're dead right. after Moses Atuma bet Dillian White in brilliant fashion, and he looked unbelievable. As you said, we can't say enough good about the young lad. He's a serious young boxer, right? Everybody was saying, "Oh, that's it now. He's going straight for Usyk. He's going straight for." Not a word about it. I said it, and you said it on this podcast. He's going nowhere near Usyk. They love that old talk. They love to wind it up and stuff, which is fair enough. But who is he going for next? He's certainly not going for Usyk.
How did I see you mentioned, actually, now that you say that? I've seen a name being mentioned. And I did this. Remember we said about this? Remember we said...
Yeah.
That's what I was doing. I remember.
Exactly,
now I can't even think of who it was, but I remember thinking...
Yeah. No, he's been mentioned with he's 40 something. Pulev. Yeah. So that's some difference between Usyk and Pulev.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it is. It's look, they're gonna do with Moses Atuma exactly what, maybe it'll be a bit braver, but exactly what Matchroom did with Anthony Joshua. It's going to be cherry pick season. That's what it's going to be. And they're going to bring him up, which they should do, bring him up and talk. You're not going to put a prospect like that straight in.
No, I know that.
With a grade.
And we said it, he will be a world champion.
He will be.
I just hope there's other fighters around to make it interesting for us.
Yeah.
But we don't have to look away from the heavyweight to boxing the way I did with Klitschko. I wouldn't watch heavy. I'm a massive boxing fan and I came. Yeah. I wouldn't even look at heavyweight boxing when the Klitschko era was around. I was disgusted with it. I was just solely on the rest of boxing. You know, the welterweight, middleweight, super middleweight, all of that. I couldn't even look at heavyweight boxing. Yeah. It wasn't until a bit of Fury kind of got going again and Klitschko, I remember that fight, that kind of started it all again. Yeah. By Fury going and getting the belt, and then the division opened up again. Yeah. But, and we've been loving the heavyweight boxing for the last, I don't know, 7 years, whatever it is. Yeah. It's been brilliant. But I just hope Atuma's not just a one-man in the division in the next few years, because obviously it's looking like it. Because these lads are all going to be gone. They're going to be retiring. And it'll be just Atuma left, because he's a great age.
Yeah.
I just hope we have competitive fights at heavyweight.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean.
Yeah, and then Paul, when we're talking about heavyweight fights and great fights, and we were talking about this earlier, the whole thing with Turki Al-Sheikh it's gone very stale, Paul, isn't it? Like it looks like he's pulling back from boxing. The purses are not what they were. He looks to be looking to get into basketball now and different sports. So there's an agenda there with them people. But all this talk of Dana White coming in and changing the face of boxing and all, we heard all that for years with Eddie Hearn, and nothing changes. It's the Wild West. And it's a pity, because we were so spoiled for a while with great fights and that. And now it just seems to just be stale and down again.
Did you watch Dave Allen?
I did, yeah. He was fighting Makhmoudov, yeah. Look, Dave Allen bet Johnny Fisher. The first fight, Johnny Fisher was taking Dave Allen apart in the first few rounds. Dave Allen is very durable and came on late, and Johnny Fisher got the decision in the first fight. I think Dave Allen won the first fight. But it was a closer fight than the pundits were saying if you were scoring it on rounds, right? Dave Allen finished stronger. But Johnny Fisher was like a rabbit in the headlights. He was inexperienced, Paul, in championship rounds and stuff like that, right? But then he came in the second fight and he tried to box. And he's not a boxer, he's a puncher. And Dave Allen was too cute for him and gave him a bad knockout. Do you know? Now, I like Johnny Fisher and I like Dave Allen. They're both nice fellas.
Dave Allen's character, isn't he?
Yeah. But everyone thought then that Dave Allen was a world beater again. You know what I mean? And basically, he just showed that he's incredibly durable, but nothing else. Now, he did have a little slight bit of form. I think it was in round 9, where he caught Makhmoudov and definitely seemed to worry him a bit, but nobody banked on Makhmoudov's engine and his punch output, and as well as that, I think they were relying too much on on the way that Caballel bet him. Caballel is a different level to Dave Allen. He's an unbelievable body puncher. He's very durable. He's very strong, squatty kind of a fighter. You know what I mean? He's a very, very tough night for anybody in the heavyweight division. And they went on that. But look, he was shown. The only thing that annoys me again about boxing is that I seen an interview there where he's calling out different fellas, and now he wants to fight Zhang, and it seemed that Eddie Hearn could just make that fight like that, and it was on IFL, but why did Eddie Hearn not make that fight like that when Zhang was in his prime against Joshua?
Why not?
They can make the fights when they want to. They can shout out names when they want to, but they can cherry pick when they want to. And that's back to my initial thing. Like, that's the thing I don't like about fighting. I love a fella who'll go out and fight everyone. Do you know what I mean? Like, that'll just say all comers come on, win, lose or draw. That's what I love. I love the game, fellas. Like, do you know? But and look, maybe most fighters are. I'm sure they are. It's the promoters, Paul, and it's the politics of it.
But Zhang is a name for him now. I think
Zhang is
on the
name,
slide.
yeah, and Zhang is going to be very dangerous for three to 4 rounds with anybody, because he punches like a mule.
But I think
but then
you can see it now.
His energy goes.
Even when he lost the last fight, you can see it. They're just hovering around him. Now if he does get you,
to get a name off him.
Once they cover, they can just walk around him.
Yeah.
And in the 7th or 8th round, you can see he's gassed.
But I think if Dave Allen goes in with Zhang, I think Zhang will knock him out. Because I think if he walks in, no matter how durable he is, if he walks in the same as Joe Joyce did against someone like Zhang, then he'll feel that elite heavyweight power, because I think Zhang has it. He's fierce, hard hitting heavyweight.
Oh, no, yeah.
And there are levels to it. And I think, and the southpaw and all, and the way he gets into the punch pile. Yeah. Do you remember the knockout we gave Joyce that time? We were saying it after, like the power of it. But in saying that, he's getting on, and I really like Zhang, because Zhang will take on everyone.
Yeah. He's a good age make as well. What is he?
He's over 40. Yeah.
And
which is a shame. It's a shame.
So you pair that in with the age.
And then, Paul, that moves me on to just when we were talking about Joe Joyce and Fabio Wardley, they were talking about different fellas that are kind of opponents and stuff like that. So Fabio Wardley said that he'd knock out all the opponents that Parker knocked out. And then I seen Billy Nelson getting annoyed with, on Twitter, saying that he won't knock out Martin Bacoli, you know. But I've had conversations with Billy Nelson on Twitter. He's a nice fella, I like him. But I said to Billy in a tweet, I said, Billy, Martin Bacoli is an unbelievable talent. But if he's not fit, a lesser man will beat him. And there comes a time where you have to back up the talk. And he got back to me and he said he will back up the talk. So hopefully he will. We'll see, Paul. Because if Martin Bacoli comes in great condition and super fit, he is definitely a great boxer. I hear a lot of people saying after Park about him, he's no good, he's useless. He said, no, he's certainly not useless.
Why not, yeah?
He's a very fluid big man, and
he's
a brute.
It was the last minute that fight was.
It was the last minute, and he was partying like a rock star, eating pot, because I follow him. He was eating all sorts of cakes and pies. You know, he's a nice fella too. But Paul, you can't go into a fight at elite level in that type of condition.
He's a vegetarian, Mick, isn't he?
Yeah, he is.
And to me, he's too nearly. Like, this sounds stupid. It's almost like he's too nice. I don't know. Does he have the energy to go and get fit?
I think he has a killer thing in him. But
he needs to get that if he wants to get into the shape that we're talking about.
Yeah.
I think he has to get nasty.
Yeah. I think he has that nastiness in the ring. I've seen him a few times. You know, if you see him with Takam and you see him, you know, he can be very nasty, spiteful. But what you're saying is...
You need the nastiness over a period of time to stay fit.
Exactly.
Like, some people get influenced by annoyance to get fit. That's what...
Yeah, 100%.
Like, that's
and
the way
does he have that? Yeah.
I just think he has to have that determination to prove people wrong.
And Paul, a fit Bacoli, 100% fit, 100% on his game, in great shape for him, would you pick him over Fabio Wardley?
No doubt.
Exactly. And so would I. So if Billy Nelson sees this, Billy...
Yeah. And if Wardley beats...
I'm going to hold you to it.
It's going to be Wardley fighting Usyk, so just going to tell you where it goes. 100%. No, there's no doubt about it.
And Usyk will beat...
Actually...
I back Usyk to beat both men, to be honest with you. But I think Parker will give him a much better fight.
Anything else, Mick, you want to touch on? Did you see anything during the last couple of days that go up your nose?
There was a lot. That's why we're giving out on this one, Paul, because there is, like, it's gone back to that. You know, it's gone back to that usual old rubbish where there's promoters bitching against each other and the usual old crap. Look, make the fights.
It's funny how boxing's gone, and the promoters are just as much stars now as the boxers. Back then, I suppose, with your John Kings and your, you know, your what's your man's name? Oh, I can't think of the top rank, but Bob Arum. Like them lads were just more or less in the background, but it's changed big time.
Yeah, it's changed, but it seems to be heading back in the direction that it was in, and that it was going in, which is just a pity. Like
back to that, Mick, with the Dana White thing, because I still don't understand what's his role in boxing now.
So basically, from what I gather, Paul,
and then separate that also from the Saudi.
Yeah, so from what I gather is that he's with Turkey Al Sheikh, starting their own boxing company. The major gripe that everyone seems to have is that he wanted to change the Ali Act, which protected boxers. So if he wants to do that, Paul, he wants to turn the model into a more UFC model. And then I seen Eddie Hearn being interviewed, and seemingly he's approaching, we'll say, second or third tier boxers to try and build maybe some kind of a competition like what they used to do in the UFC, to build a name and build a profile and stuff like that. But any of the top boxers, Paul, they won't go near him unless the money is there, or as Carl Fox says, unless the bunts is there. They're not gonna go in and take steps down in money. And also, Paul, he wants to get rid of all the belts. He wants one belt.
I'd like to see that one belt.
Yeah, but the thing about it is, I've seen boxers being interviewed, and the boxers are boxing for the belt. The same belt that Ali held, the same belt that all their favourites
I know.
So there's that kind of like...
Yeah, I know, the nostalgic.
So Paul, I think Dana White is beginning to realise that boxing is not the UFC, that it's a very tricky, it's a funny one. The boxing is funny, like.
Pros and cons for me, I think, well, me personally as a boxing fan, I'd like to see one belt, because I think there's too many ways around to get fellas being world champion who should never be world champions. Yeah. Or never really, if they have to fight the best.
Yeah.
The money part of it, obviously it'd be a bit more meaner with the money, wouldn't it? The purses. But I do like the idea of someone building themselves up. And
I like all the ideas that he has, and I agree with a lot of the ideas he has, without question. But the thing about it is, Paul, they won't work in boxing the way they work in UFC, because boxers, some people could say they've been spied with the purses, who knows. But then, look, I seen an interview during the week with Fraser Clark, and he boxed on a Saudi card and got very well paid for it. And then he said, I had to take a real step down. But at the end of the day, what do? I have to box, I have to continue boxing, and it's not realistic to think that you're always going to get that Saudi money. So, look, Paul, he's up against it in the boxing game.
Speaking of money, we've seen Paul Malignaggi back fighting in the bare knuckle last week. Now, casual fans only know Paul Malignaggi from the Conor McGregor dispute. Right. They don't have a clue how good of a fighter he was 7-8 years prior to that. Paul Malignaggi was no joke, and anyone who knows boxing will tell you that. When he was fighting, he was world champion in his own right. He fought the greats like Miguel Cotto. He was a good, very good fighter. Yeah. So, as I said to you, but people don't really seem to know that. Isn't it sad what happened there 2 weeks ago? So basically, he was fighting bare knuckle in this BKB, this new format that's out there. And Mick sent me, I actually didn't even know it was coming up, and Mick sent me a video on YouTube, a link to it, and Jesus, he was fairly beaten up. And
the both of them, no, he won his fight,
fairly marked, he won his fight, but he was fairly marked. Now obviously people say, well, that's BKB, but doesn't it just show you the drop off, like for the fight he would have fought? The
fact as a world champion that he at his age retired has to go back into that, then there's something wrong. It has to be for money, sure.
No, that's what I mean. It has to be. There's some drop off from these
sure.
And if you to be,
and you have De Gale as well at it now. James De Gale,
yeah,
he's an ex-world champion. He's doing it now as well.
Like, these lads would have been paid good money back in the day.
You'd imagine so. But were they?
Well, that's
or is there so many mouths to be fed out of their purse? Like, there's a few fighters that just literally struck gold. Like Tyson Fury struck gold, Paul.
Yeah.
He just came at the right time with the Saudi fights, with the Ngannou fight, with the Usyk fights. Like he just struck gold, and he done very well out of the Wilder fights. So he made some serious money.
Yeah.
But the reality is that there's a lot of world champions out there, and they're not in the league of his wealth. You know, so it's like, I think when you're boxing above all sports, you know, that's why with the Dana White thing, I think boxers should be paid well, because it's a brutal sport, and it only lasts for a certain amount of time, Paul. You know, most fighters, when they get to their mid to late 30s, they're finished.
Paulie Malignaggi shouldn't fight again, though, by the way. To me,
But Paulie, he's going to.
Yeah, I know, but he shouldn't be fighting. I mean,
he wants to win a world title.
And I think something happened, didn't it, with Sky Sports and stuff. He's an unbelievable
Brilliant
pundit.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. If you want to watch boxing and you pick your ideal commentator or pundit, he's the man. He is brilliant.
Yeah.
It's a shame, because I don't understand why. Maybe because he tells the truth. He does. He's
brilliant.
He's brilliant.
Yeah.
And he's great. I don't understand why people are trying to, cause it feels like they don't want him involved in these networks now. They don't want him involved, because maybe he speaks too honestly. But then that's not what gets the ears in.
Well, the more honest, the better. The more blunt,
that's
the better.
What people want to watch.
Well, did you ever see the time that and you're going to laugh at this?
Prince Azim.
Yeah. Prince Azim was there. He was being a pundit after the fight with Chris Eubank Jr. and George Groves. And if you haven't seen it, YouTube it. It's absolutely hilarious. It's brilliant. He should retire. He should finish. But he was proper passionate. Like he was great. And Paulie Malignaggi is brilliant as well, because when Tony Bellew was fighting Usyk, the bias of the English commentators, they were watching a different fight. They were completely watching a different fight, as far as I'm concerned, from what I was seeing. And Paulie Malignaggi had to turn around and go, lads, I think you're being a little bit favoursome now. I think we're watching a different fight here. He threw that in. He let it go on for so long until he actually said, right.
He got pain in his head, listen.
And then, Paul, they all done a U-turn. They all started saying, oh, it looks like now he's taking over.
Yeah. But that's why, that could be the reasons why they don't want him on, because
exactly.
He's
not a company man.
Yeah, if you want a fella, we have to promote the shit out of this fighter, we have to tell the public how good he is.
Paul, you were talking about Max. He's a company man. Paulie Malignaggi is not. He'll speak his truth.
But this is what's annoying me, is because if it come down to punditry and proper breakdown of boxing, and Simon Jordan has said this, and Simon Jordan is I like Simon Jordan.
Yeah.
Well, Simon Jordan said it. He's the man when it comes down to boxing. Why is no network? He shouldn't be bare knuckle, because it is about money. He shouldn't be fighting bare knuckle. He should be with a top class network, getting loads of money, and he'd have 20 years, 25 years work there. And I think it's a disgrace. And he shouldn't have to go back bare knuckle at his age.
Yeah.
Because I say that's what it is. It's about money. And networks should be ashamed of themselves, because there's definitely no doubt about it. He's been blacklisted or blackballed. I've no doubt about that.
Yeah.
But I'd like to see him. And I know a lot of fans like to hear him talk. I do anyway, personally.
Yeah, I enjoy it.
Mick, I seen a video 2 or 3 hours ago on TalkSport there. I just seen it. I didn't get to click in on it, because I was looking at the Max Kellerman thing on Ring Magazine podcast, or whatever it is. It's on YouTube, and the lads were around the table talking, and they were on about Fury coming back or something like that. Then I seen a video 3 hours ago on TalkSport, only the headline now, it might not be this, saying he's after coming out and saying that he's not coming back. That's it, he's not fighting anymore. Now we've heard that 200 times, but what's his story? As far as you know?
As far as I know,
what you're watching,
like, he's just changeable, isn't he? So he could tell Frank Warren, which he did, because Frank Warren said it in an interview, that he's going to come back next year, and then he could look at what happened to Paulie Malignaggi maybe, and think about it, and think about the position that he's in. I seen an interview with him where he's talking about people in life getting up the ladder, and when you have this, you want this, and when you have this, you want this, and the man who has this wants that, and the man, which is fair enough. Paul, he's, as far as wealth goes and everything, and his achievements, he done unbelievably well. The thing that's getting to him, and the thing that he would come back for, is the Usyk fight. I have no doubt in my mind that if Usyk came out on a camera and said, "I'm going to fight Tyson Fury if he's willing to fight for my last fight," he will be out like a hare from the traps. That's the truth. He'll be out, Paul, or a greyhound from the tracks. Yeah, he'll be out like. That's the fight he wants. He doesn't seem to have any interest in Joshua. Eddie Hearn is screaming from the rooftops for the Joshua fight, but I don't know. I can't see that happening. I'm not convinced of that. I don't think he come out of retirement for that. But he's really pained about.
Of course, it's stinging him bad.
It's stinging him bad, and I think he would. And that's why I think he's constantly training. If you follow him on social media, he's staying fit, he's staying sharp, he's sparring, he's running, he's doing his strength and conditioning. He doesn't seem to have put on any weight or that. So I think in his mind, he wants that Usyk fight, and he's staying ready for the opportunity. And then, Paul, when you're from Usyk's point of view, what's the biggest money fight out there? Above all the mandatories, above everything, is Tyson Fury.
I'd like to see Fury back because I think Fury is still exciting. He's out off the camera. He's good, like leading up to fights and stuff. I'd like to see if they're calling O'Tuma this next big killer. I'd like for Frank Warren to make that fight between them two. It'd be interesting.
It'll never happen.
No, it'll never happen. I know it won't happen, but let's be real.
Yeah.
If you're going to be the man, and Fury's coming back to fight, we don't know or not. If he does, well then come on. Yeah. You can't just say, oh, he's the man, and then jump for Usyk, and maybe at this stage 40, 41 years old. Yeah. Hold on, here's a couple of lads here. And Fury, you Fury up there that far behind.
Oh Usyk. Yeah, Fury's a brilliant fighter.
So do you not think that's only about right? But you're saying you don't think it'll happen because of Frank Warren?
I don't think it'll happen because of Frank Warren, and I don't think that Fury would have any interest in that.
Why? Would he be afraid of getting knocked out?
Could be that, Paul, but I think he just has that, as you said, hurt for losing to Usyk. He thinks, he said it in an interview, he thinks he can beat Usyk. He thinks in his heart, I can beat him.
But look, he had that, and that's not.
He had two opportunities.
But you know what? We'd be more interested for me if O'Tuma and him fought, for the reason that if O'Tuma beat him, then O'Tuma is justified in going and fighting Usyk.
Yeah.
If Fury wins against O'Tuma, Fury is now showing the world, hold on, you were all talking about this fella. Yeah. I'm after finishing him off. Now, and I would be in agreement. Right, let them at it again. Yeah, but I just think that
won't happen. No,
it won't happen. It should happen.
Yeah, but it'd be great. Paul, we could make if we had a magic wand, we'd be better than Turkey Al Sheikh and making.
Yeah, fights. I know that. Yeah,
we'd have the best fight.
The only thing is we'd have them all killed, knocked out within a couple of months. There'd be no boxing to watch because he goes straight for the kill.
Yeah,
but as they do, I suppose the promoters, they have to promote and drag out fights and fight this undermatch and all that crack. But look, I know we're boxing fans. We want to see the next big thing. But anyways, look, so that's it. We leave it at that. Mick fancies Parker to win by knockout. I'd say Parker by points, but we both think Parker. I think Parker's going to win the fight. Like Wardley, I like him, and
I like Wardley
and
as well.
But I just think Parker is just too good for him, and I think it'll show on Saturday. So look, we'll be back as soon as we can. And I hope you enjoyed the show, and we'll try and get a bit more, because sometimes we're holding back. You just don't know that. But anyway, take care, and we'll talk soon.